Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another quick draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Without further ado, let's just get into the draft. So our pack 1 is incredibly powerful here. We've got a great mythic rare flying menacing dragon. That is likely what we are going to take, but there are some cards very worth noting in this pack for your personal drafts if you don't open up an incredible rare. First off, we have Blossom Prancer out of the uncommons, which is honestly really close to Jinji the Midnight Sky in terms of power level. This is a 5-mana 4/4 reach that can dig 5 cards deep, pick up any creature or enchantment from among those cards, put it into our hand. If we miss, or if we don't want to draw a card off of it, it can give us some life gain to stem the bleeding against an aggressive deck. It's just a really excellent 2-for-1 card. A 4/4 body with reach is already really big in the format, and drawing us a card of our choice out of the top 5 makes this an incredible card. Definitely the second best card behind Junji, if not equally paired up. And then for commons here that you want to keep an eye on, mainly just the Modern Age. Pretty much all of these sagas that flip into the creatures in this format are quite good, and the Modern Age is one of the better ones. It's going to let you draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards throughout the game, setting up your draws, and then turn into a 2/3 flyer. When you count up all of that value for only 2 mana, it is a ton of value. The one downside of all the sagas is that they do take a while to get all of their abilities off, but when you add up what all the abilities are doing for the mana cost that you're paying, they are pretty much all very undercosted to make up for the kind of slowness of them. So those are my top 3 cards for the pack, but I'm definitely just going to go with Junji the Midnight Sky, the very cool, fun, mythic rare dragon that even if it gets blown up, gives us some very powerful abilities. So Junji the Midnight Sky will be our pack 1 pick 1. Alright, pack 1 pick 2 is considerably weaker. There's no really big standout here. The only black card in the pack is Nezumi Blade Blesser, which is fine, but not something I'm looking to take second pick. When we look at off-color options, Shrine Steward is one of the better cards. There are some really powerful shrines in the format, and if you get multiples of those, being able to tutor one of them out of your deck is a very powerful ability. The other thing that this card does well is that there are multiple auras in this format that are also removal spells. So there is one in white that's a pacifism style effect, shutting off the ability to attack and block, and one in black that lets you blow something up when it hits the board. So those cards are really good with Shrine Steward, making it a 5-mana 3/2 that immediately draws a removal spell and puts it in your hand. So Shrine Steward is actually pretty great as well. But what I'm going to take out of this pack is the Prosperous Thief here. This is a 3-mana 3/2, very good for the blue-black ninjas archetype. It's one of my favorite archetypes in the format. It's just really cool thematically, and gameplay-wise, there's a lot of very fun and powerful things you can do. So 3 mana for a 3/2 that makes it so anytime one or more of your ninjas or rogues deals combat damage to a player, you get a treasure token. That can help you be very aggressive and spit out your hand extra quickly off of those treasure tokens. And it even has a ninjutsu ability, which is inherently valuable, because ninjutsu allows you to return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand to put this into play tapped and attacking. So this kind of swaps out for whatever was attacking. There are a lot of really powerful ways to abuse that mechanic in the format. There are all the sagas that turn into creatures that I was talking about. You can put them back into your hand, recast them, and get all of their abilities again, which is super good. And there are plenty of creatures with great enter the battlefield effects, so all of those cards make even just having a ninjutsu effect inherently valuable. So I'm going to go for Prosperous Thief here, start pushing into blue-black ninjas if we can. Pack 1 pick 3 shows us some very powerful cards. We have Goshintai of Boundless Vigor being a great shrine in green, Naomi Pillar of Order being an excellent reason to try to be the black-white artifact and enchantment deck, and then Suit Up if we want to stick to blue-black ninjas. This is an incredible combat trick in this archetype, because it's an archetype that's going to get our opponent to block pretty frequently, because they know that if they don't block, we're going to start doing some absurd ninjutsu effects. So being able to have a combat trick like Suit Up that will not only win the combat and kill their blocking creature, but draw us a card in the process is pretty excellent. So these are all really powerful options. I think they're all pretty equally powerful. Naomi is my personal favorite because I did win $1,000 with a deck featuring Naomi Pillar of Order. So that's kind of just a personal favorite of mine, and I'm going to speculate on the Naomi here in case we get pushed to black-white instead of blue-black. But I think the safest, most reasonable pick is probably to just take the Suit Up. I mean, it's just an excellent card for the blue-black ninjas deck. There's not an incredibly massive reason to hop off that train here. And I think the worst pick would probably be Goshintai Boundless Vigor, because I think it works the least well with our first couple picks. It's not a powerful enough card to really buck me off the trend like Naomi would. Pack 1, pick 4, there are 3 main options I'm looking at here. We have Era of Enlightenment, which is a great 2-drop saga that turns into an awesome creature. And there's the Kami of Terrible Secrets, which is really good for the black-white deck because we care about having artifacts and enchantments on board. So we're already going to be playing a good amount of both types to get our Naomi to work. So that'll also get this to be a great value play. And then there's Roadside Reliquary, which does make our mana base worse in terms of color fixing, because it is going to be a colorless land, but it is going to be a land that can sacrifice to draw 2 cards later in the game quite often, so it's a really, really strong card. We could also go for something off-color, the strongest being Jukai Preserver, but I think I'm going to stick to probably black or white here. And I think I'm going to go for Era of Enlightenment. I think that the great 2 and 3 drops are a little less replaceable than good, like 4 mana plays like Kami of Terrible Secrets. So I'm going to scoop up the Era of Enlightenment here, try to take the cards like Kami later on, and just not take the Roadside Reliquary this early either. And here is an excellent 4 mana card that I can take now that I left that slot open. The Long Reach of Night is a phenomenal card that is pretty much always a 3-for-1, getting our opponent to sacrifice 2 of their creatures or discard 2 cards, and then turning into a creature itself. With any ninjutsu effects, we can pick this up and replay it and do it again. This card is absurd, and you'll see in the last quick draft that I did, we did a green-black deck that could recast this from the graveyard, or it could pick it up from the board with geothermal Kamis, and this card was phenomenal every single game. Gonna be no different in power level in black-white. Really, really phenomenal card. That's gonna be the pick here. There's another reliquary we could absolutely take, but against such a powerful saga, I'm going to take the Long Reach of Night first. And then I think the third best pick for our deck here would be to take our first valuable artifact, which would be the Searchlight Companion. Great card to get ninjutsu in, because it's flying, so it's hard to block, and it's going to let us get a good enter the battlefield effect, while being a solid artifact to trigger cards like Naomi. But we're just going to go for Long Reach of Night. Incredible saga there. For pack 1, pick 6, there's really just 3 decent cards in here. One is Fang of Shigeki, which is off color, so I'm not interested in that. But then there's Inkrise Infiltrator, really good card to help get ninjutsu in, because you can always threaten to pump this if they block, and then if they don't, you'll use ninjutsu. Or Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty. And this card is not one I'm a huge fan of, because there aren't a ton of really low toughness creatures in the format. A lot of the decks in this format can grind out a long game very well and have some like really big creatures late in the game, where this isn't going to be the greatest. Yeah, it'll be super great against aggro, but I don't expect a multitude of aggro decks to have tons of targets for this unless we can get multiple shrines on the board. So I think I would rather take the Inkrise Infiltrator as a good 2-drop. Those are a little harder to come by. Plus, it's going to leave us a little more open again to being blue-black ninjas if black-white artifacts and enchantments doesn't work out, because now, if we take Inkrise Infiltrator, we have 4 excellent cards for blue-black ninjas, and we have 4 excellent cards for black-white artifacts and enchantments, so we're really flexible in that position here. We're just definitely in black, so I'll take the Inkrise Infiltrator. Well, if we see a pick 7 Spirited Companion, pretty unlikely we're going to be going in the ninjutsu direction, because that is incredibly late for this card. This is 2 mana for a 1/1 that draws a card when it hits the board. That's already a great deal. It's also an enchantment, which is an important card type for cards like Naomi. It can also get ninjutsu'd back to our hand to let us draw a card again. Spirited Companion just does so much great stuff in the format, so many little micro synergies with the card, that it's an incredibly high pick for me, and seeing it pick 7 is a great sign for white. Other cards we could take in the pack are definitely the Shrine Steward if we had taken the Shrine, or the Dokuchi Shadow Walker if we want to just firmly push to blue-black ninjas. Maybe you just far prefer that archetype to black-white and just like playing it, then hey, there's a Shadow Walker for you. But we're going to scoop up a Spirited Companion and be very happy with that. Now, pick 8 Okiba Reckoner Raid is a phenomenal card. This is one of the most busted sagas in the entire format. It is such an aggressive card. For 1 mana, you're going to drain your opponent 2 life. So they're going to lose 2, you're going to gain 2, and you're going to get a 2/2 menace. Yeah, it's going to take a couple turns for all those things to happen, but that is still a ridiculous amount of value for only a 1 mana investment. Easily Okiba in a raid here. There's not even anything close to as strong as that in this pack. Moving on to pick 9, this pack is pretty much all filler. These could all be our 20th to 23rd playable, kind of the last sort of additions in our deck, but there's nothing exciting. Really don't like Debt to the Kami as removal when there's plenty of great targeted removal spells where we get to choose what we're making our opponent lose. So I think I'm just going to take Greater Tanuki here in case something really weird happens. I think it's just the best card in the pack for its nice channel mana fixing effect. Pack 1, pick 10 is going to be a very easy Nezumi Blade Blesser. By far the best card for a black-white artifact enchantment strategy because it's getting a lot of benefits for having artifacts and enchantments on board. Most important to have an enchantment on board because usually that menace is the most important ability. So it is pretty nice with what we have right now. We don't really have like any artifacts yet, but I don't think that Automated Artificer is a good enough one to take over the Blade Blesser. So we'll scoop that up here. Now we can scoop up an artifact. I think the best card in the pack is Tamio's Safekeeping, which is a great way to protect your large green threats. Not something we can do here, we're not really playing green, but we have 2 pretty awesome artifacts to choose from, like pretty good filler artifacts to choose from for the black-white artifact enchantment deck. Papercraft Decoy is pretty nice in a deck that has a lot of ways to sacrifice cards, or a deck that has a lot of ninjutsu, because you can spend 2 mana when this leaves the battlefield for any reason, whether it goes to your hand, to exile, to the graveyard, to draw a card. So really nice if you have a ton of ninjutsu, mainly in this color pair, which we kind of don't right now. I have 1 ninjutsu card and it's a blue one, so I'm probably not going to take that. I think I'll take the Ninja's Kunai instead, which is basically a 3 mana colorless sorcery to deal 3 damage to any target as a removal spell, which is a bit slow, especially considering you have to tap one of your creatures to use it. However, when you have other things that get some value out of sacrificing an artifact or having an artifact on board, that's where Kunai really goes up in value, and in the black-white deck we do have several cards that will give us some amount of value just for having an artifact board. Cards like Naomi want both an artifact and enchantment on board as well as the Blade Blesser, so take the Kunai here, and we'll use that as one of our cheap removal spells, and we are very happy to see that we wield the Kami of Terrible Secrets. It went all the way around the draft pod, so that means pretty much guaranteed none of the bots are attempting to draft the Artifact plus Enchantment deck. And we are wide open here, so very easy Kami of Terrible Secrets. I would take that way earlier than pick 12, so happy to see it there. And now we'll just cut out the on-color cards, even if they're not that interesting for our archetype, and see what we open up in pack 2. Well, 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 we meet again, the Wandering Emperor. I'm a lot more used to seeing the Wandering Emperor on the opponent's side of the field, but it's gonna feel pretty nice to have one on our side of the field. I don't even think I need to explain this pick. The Wandering Emperor is one of the best planeswalkers ever printed, and we are super happy to play the Wandering Emperor in this black-white deck.
Kamigawa, and I will protect my people.
Speaking of cards that I would be tremendously happy to play, we have Life of Toshiro Umezama, one of Black's mythic level uncommons. This is a very, very flexible saga that can push in for a ton of extra damage early with the +2/+2 effect. It can kill 1 toughness creatures like Spirited Companions and Virus Beetles with the -1/-1 effect, and it can just sit there and gain you 4 life with the gain 2 life effect. And then it's going to become a 2/3. 2 turns after you play it, so this is just a phenomenal card. If you're against a black-white grindy deck that has a bunch of companions and beetles, this is going to be 1 or 2 removal spells in one that also turns into a creature because it kills their 1 toughness cards. If you're against an aggro deck, this is a huge buffer of life against them. You're going to gain 4, then get a 2/3, which is a really good blocker, a nice roadblock against the aggro strategy. And if you're against a slower green-white or blue just value grind deck, you can just get aggressive with it with the +2/+2 effect. So Life of Toshiro Umezawa, literally always great, and I'm happy to take it very highly. The one thing I'm a little sad about is there are some premium artifacts in this pack to make our Naomi and Kami of Terrible Secrets a lot more consistent, but they're enough weaker than Life of Toshiro Umezawa that I'm still going to take it. The premium artifacts here being High Speed Hoverbike, with a great Enter the Battlefield effect, and being a very good card for our Spirited Companion to crew, and the Mukotai Ambusher being a nice cheap ninjutsu card that also races really well with that lifelink, so really good artifacts in here. And then Centipede's okay as well, but that's the third best out of those. We're still taking Life of Toshiro Umezawa. Now for pack 2, pick 3, our best pickup is going to be this Twisted Embrace as an excellent removal spell that can also put an enchantment on our board and buff a creature a little bit. Beautiful card, very happy to scoop it up. Not much competing with it for the black-white deck. Now that we're pretty much married to black-white, we don't really see any other good cards in the pack. Iron Apprentice or Brute Suit would be okay, so we can actually get some artifacts in here, or Goshintai would be okay, but not really interested in anything else. Obviously, if we weren't tied to a specific archetype right now, Twin Shot Sniper and Oni Cult Anvil are great red cards, but we're very married to black-white when we have Junji in black and the Wandering Emperor in white. Doesn't even really matter that I'm already so focused on the synergies of black-white. Having those two mythic rare bombs is going to keep me in the color pair regardless. We're just not going to be looking at the other colors. This is another super hard pick, similar to when we took the Life of Toshiro Umezawa, because there's two phenomenal cards. We don't have a lot of great removal right now, so I'd be really happy to take another Twisted Embrace, but there's also Nezumi Prowler, which is another very efficient artifact creature. It also gives us a ninjutsu card to potentially bounce a Spirited Companion, or a Saga like a Reckoner Raid, Era of Enlightenment, or Life of Toshiro Umezawa. So this card fits so many synergies that it looks real valuable here. Giving us another artifact, giving us another ninjutsu card. I think I'm actually going to take Nezumi Prowler over the Twisted Embrace. I think we're doing okay on removal. We have a Kunai we're probably going to play to keep an artifact in the deck. And then we also have Life of Toshiro against 1 toughness creatures, the Wandering Emperor against tapped creatures, the Long Reach of Night to make our opponent sack some stuff, and then of course the Twisted Embrace for targeted removal. So I'm going to hope that's decent enough for now. We're going to pass up on this Twisted Embrace for a Nezumi Prowler. Get an artifact in the deck as well as some ninjutsu synergy. For pack 2, pick 5, we have a choice between Dragonfly Suit and Scoured Barons, and I think I'm just going to go for the Scoured Barons here. Dragonfly Suit is not a card I consider very often, but this is the exact archetype where I do consider it at times, because it is going to add to our artifact count, and it's going to be something great for our 2-mana 1/1s to crew. The black-white decks are usually filled with at least a couple copies of Spirited Companion and a couple copies of Virus Beetle. That's what really makes the deck tick. The Companion is the 2-mana enchantment creature to draw a card. The Virus Beetle is a 2-mana artifact creature that's a 1/1 that makes our opponent discard a card. So that's kind of the yin and yang sort of strategy here, is that you want a couple of those and a couple of Virus Beetles, which leaves you with like 4 1/1s, which don't really do much later in the game. The Dragonfly Suit gives you a great way to use those because it's a crew 1 vehicle. So now your Companions and Beetles are still doing something later, and you have another artifact in the deck. That being said, we're not actually the multiple Spirited Companion, multiple Virus Beetle deck right now, because we just haven't found any Virus Beetles and we only have 1 Companion, and there's only 3 packs left in this pack that we haven't seen. There's only 3 more opportunities in pack 2 to find any Companions or Beetles, so it feels unlikely we're going to have a ton of 1-power creatures to really use the suit, so I'm just going to take the solid mana fixing here. Pack 2, pick 6 is very self-explanatory. We see a Clawing Torment. It's the only on-color card, and it is a good one when we are aggressive, making our opponent lose a life every single turn and completely shutting off their ability to block with whatever we put it on. Great when we are in the aggressive position. There's obviously nothing else in the pack. Pack 2, pick 7. We are playing with fire here with a second copy of Okiba Reckoner Raid. We are just nitro-fueled. Scoop that up here. I am taking it over Shrine Steward, which would be another good addition to the deck, because it's another artifact that can pull out one of our removal spells like Twisted Embrace, but Reckoner Raid is just so powerful on turn 1 that it's going to be the pick for me. Pack 2, pick 8 here. We have a couple okay artifacts. The Iron Apprentice is okay. I don't really like the Enormous Energy Blade. I think the cost of equipping where it taps the equipped creature is pretty bad, and it's pretty inefficient in the first place. Shadow Walker would be a fine ninjutsu card, but it would also just be another big expensive card. I think I'm just going to take the solid instant speed removal spell, throw a lethal exploit in here. And here we go, pack 2, pick 9. We can have a Dokuchi Shadow Walker if we wanted one. Now we can have a Mukatai Ambusher, which I think is even better than the Shadow Walker in this deck since it is an artifact and a ninjutsu card. Very happy to wield the Mukatai Ambusher. That is a pick 11 Oni Cult Anvil, which is sweet, but we're also definitely not playing red, so I guess I'll just take a light the way that I'm not going to play either. It's because there's a slight opportunity if weird things happen. Same with Papercraft Decoy. I might play it for the artifact count, but I'd have to be really hurting for artifacts to want to run that. And now I'll just rare draft uncommons to fill out the vault progress faster and see what we get in pack 3. Well, we've gotten the absolute payoff this draft. It's not a lot of drafts where you get to play all 3 rares that you open, but this is certainly going to be one of them. We got a mythic rare Junji out of pack 1, the mythic rare Wandering Emperor out of pack 2. That solidified us into black-white, which is the best archetype for Soul Transfer. This is a 3-mana sorcery to exile a creature or planeswalker, and if you control an artifact and enchantment, you also get to return a creature or planeswalker from grave to hand, so really just lucked out with basically a black-white rare in the final pack. Easily scoop that up. Would love to wheel any of the other black or white cards in this pack because they're all solid playables. With the addition of Soul Transfer, I think we're doing quite well on removal, where I can pass up on the Fall of Lord Konda to scoop up another artifact creature. The Virus Beetle that I've been talking so much about gives us another artifact creature, gives us another great card to bounce to Ninjutsu, and works perfectly in the archetype. Going to scoop up the Virus Beetle over the Fall of Lord Konda, but this card is really great as well. It's just not filling a role that we need more cards of. We need more good artifacts more than anything else right now, so I'm taking a Virus Beetle. Speaking of good artifacts, for pack 3, pick 3, we don't see very many good cards in this pack, so while Imperial Recovery Unit's just a solid artifact that might not make the cut, it's the best card for us out of this pack because it's a decent artifact that could give us a way to recur Spirited Companions and Virus Beetles from our grave if we get it crewing and going. Gonna be a little inconsistent, so ideally we probably end up cutting that, but if push comes to shove and we have to play that, I'll be pretty fine with it. Alright, for pack 3, pick 4, we'll take an excellent card to have at the top end of the curve, which is Imperial Oath. This is going to spit out 3 2/2s for 6 mana, so 6 power and toughness for 6 mana. When you spread it amongst 3 creatures as well, it's really good at completely stopping aggro decks, because all of a sudden this one card is going to trade into 3 of their early game attackers, so it completely stalls them out. And Scry 3, once you have 6 mana, is basically draw 1 or draw 2, because any lands you see on top are going to be redundant. You can just shove them right on the bottom. Imperial Oath is a card that overperformed a ton in this format, and it just does so much more than it looks like. Incredible common, and we'll scoop it up there. Alright, that being said, our deck is pretty aggressive. I don't want a ton of 6-drops. I could take another Imperial Oath, but this pack has some very real competition. We have a Spirited Companion for another 2-mana 1/1 to draw a card, and we have a Banishing Slash, which is potentially both a removal spell and a creature all in one for only 2 mana. This card is ridiculous if you have an artifact and enchantment on board. I think we're going to take a look at our deck here because it is a quick draft. We can take as much time as we need. Let's check our artifact enchantment count right now, and also our curve, see how many 2-mana creatures we've got. So let's go ahead and sort our creatures versus non-creature cards. I'm going to count the sagas onto the creature curve, because they will flip into creatures soon enough. But I'm going to take all the removal spells, set them to the side, all the vehicles, set them to the side, the Planeswalker. Shadow Walker would be Ninjutsuing on 4. Then yeah, Oath would be at 6 mana. So we do have a lot of 2 mana stuff to do, so we don't need a Spirited Companion to fill out the 2-drop curve. How is the artifact versus enchantment count? Is it good enough to consistently trigger a Banishing Slash? Because if so, I'm going to take a Banishing Slash here. We have 6 artifacts, 8 enchantments. That's real close. Like a couple more artifacts, ideally. Some of these artifacts I really want to cut as well. Yeah, it's going to be a little awkward. But when you look at our non-creature spells, our removal spells here, we have Twisted Embrace, Wandering Emperor, Soul Transfer, Lethal Exploit, Torment, Kunai. It's a lot of them. That is nothing that blows up an artifact or enchantment, which Banishing Slash can cover. I think I'm going to go for the Slash here. It's real close between Slash and Companion. I think I would still take Companion over Oath, even with the curve looking like this, because I'd like to stay pretty aggressive with like double Okiba Reckoner Raid. I like having the one top-end Imperial Oath, but I don't think I want to go too much higher than that at the top end of the curve. I'm going to take the Banishing Slash. Hope for the best from that as a removal spell that maybe makes a 2/2. Oh my god, there's another Imperial Oath? Well... Also another Spirited Companion and another Kami of Terrible Secrets? So many 2-drops here. If I don't play the Shadow Watcher, if I end up cutting that, which is possible, I think it's one of my weakest features on curve. Decoy is also one of the weakest. Then yeah, we are lower on 4-drops where I think I'd want another Kami over another Spirited Companion. I think these are the best two here for this deck. They're both great. Although yeah, I do have 3 4-mana plays already. I could just take another Oath here. I was ideally wanting to try to cut down to like a 15-16 land aggro version of this deck, but if the Arena Gods are just going to give me such a clear message to play some Oaths, yeah, I'll just play some more Oaths. That's just the simplest way to do it. They're going to give me another one there. Alright, Iron Apprentice is a fine filler 1-drop artifact creature. I think I actually like that a little better than Papercraft Decoy for this deck, because the 2-drop slot is filled with a lot better creatures than Papercraft Decoy. We could play another 1-mana creature though, and drop an Apprentice. I'm not going to play either of these cards. Don't really like the selective discard spell here, or the card where my opponent gets to choose what they exile, so I'm actually going to rare draft an uncommon to fill out the Vault Progress faster. I could play another Clawing Torment to get really aggressive. That could be cool. Not going to play any of these, but we'll take the artifact. None of these, we'll take the on-color card. I could actually definitely play a Chainflail Centipede. This fills out our curve really well where we don't have anything to do at 3 mana. Turn 3, it looks like we're just going to play a 2-drop and a 1-drop. But this will give us another 3-mana creature. That's a pretty good one. Really nice to reconfigure this onto a Spirited Companion or a Virus Beetle or any cheap creature, because all of a sudden your 1/1s and your 2/2s and stuff can still keep attacking in once your opponent plays 3/3s and 4/4s to block with by buffing them up. So I actually do like Centipede decently enough in the deck that it's almost definitely not getting cut when our curve looks this way. Alright, this is a really sweet deck. Very excited to play this, but most quick draft decks are going to end up looking really sweet, because the bots do seem to have pretty different priorities from human players. Alright, so we have 46 cards right now. I kind of want to just go through and cut the least powerful cards just generically, which is going to end up cutting a lot of the artifacts, which could be awkward, because like Papercraft Decoy, Imperial Recovery Unit are some of the most slow cards in the deck. Ambusher is basically a 2 because of Ninjutsu. Shadow Walker is a 4. We could still maybe cut a land here, but Double Oath makes me really not want to do that, because if I ever hit an Oath, they're going to make sure that I don't flood out, because we're scrying 3 lands away if we have 3 lands on top. And obviously we want to hit that 6 mana pretty early for those cards. I think I am going to just cut Decoy, Recovery Unit just right off the bat. We are at 12 creatures, but when we add the Sagas, we have 5 of those, so that's a 17 creature deck right now. I don't really want to cut any more creatures ideally. So what are our worst non-creature spells? I guess we have a couple Imperial Oaths, a Banishing Slash that can produce creatures, even the Wandering Emperor can produce creatures. We could definitely cut a few more creatures and still be pretty aggressive. But I think I'm pretty cool to cut Lethal Exploit. Really like Clawing Torment as removal and aggro. It doesn't completely remove their creature from the board, but it's going to win you any race ever, because their creature can't block anymore, it's going to hit you for 1 less damage, and it's going to keep shooting your opponent in the face. And if you're not racing your opponent, if they're just trying to set up blockers, then this basically completely kills their creature, because obviously if they aren't trying to outrace you and you make their creature unable to block, then it just can't do anything they want it to do. So I like Clawing Torments a lot for this deck. Like Kunai a lot as well for a cheap removal spell. I'm running that over Exploit because it's only a little bit worse than a Vacuum, and I think it's better with our cards like Banishing Slash and Naomi. So I'm going to cut Exploit for sure. But then honestly, I think the only non-creature card I'd be interested in cutting would be Kunai, and I really don't want to cut more artifacts here. Artifact counts at like 6 right now. Yeah, 6 artifacts. We could cut Inkrise Infiltrator, because we're not really going that wild on the ninjutsu front. Just 2 ninjutsu cards in the deck. Don't really need to find the extra ways to get them in. It's still a solid flyer, but it's not an artifact, it's not an enchantment, it's not hitting those pretty important card types. Blade Blesser doesn't hit the card types either, it just becomes a pretty decent body. It's a great card at getting ninjutsu things going, but again, we don't need to do that aggressively, so maybe we could drop Blade Blesser as well, just start cutting our non-artifact, non-enchantment cards. Yeah, 6 artifacts, 9 enchantments, still pretty good. Yeah, I'll cut those 2. One final cut. Maybe I could still cut 1 land in this deck. I could also just cut like a Shadow Walker. I still have 2 ninjutsu cards between Prowler and Ambusher. I don't need to ninjutsu for our cards to just be good up front. Just kind of nice to have the extra value. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'll just cut a Shadow Walker here and then we will call it a deck like that. Alright, here we have a look at the completed deck for today. It's going to be a black, white, order, and balance deck. That is kind of the name for the archetype. It's all about a balance between artifacts and enchantments, both being in your deck, representing the old and the new of Kamigawa. So Naomi, Pillar of Order, is the big signpost uncommon in the deck, really showing off the archetype. If we have an artifact and enchantment on the board, then Naomi is going to be a ridiculous card, spitting out Samurai when she hits the board and when she attacks. We've got some really, really high power in this deck. We have an excellent curve of incredibly aggressive sagas, like a couple Okiba Reckoner raids, a Life of Toshiro Umezawa, an Era of Enlightenment, as well as just good aggressive creatures in general, with ninjutsu effects like Nezumi Prowler and Mukotai Ambusher, running a few filler artifact creatures like Chainflail Centipede and Iron Apprentice to up that artifact count, but overall, really solid just aggro curve in general, really getting extra value out of the life drain from Okiba Reckoner raids, and then some incredibly powerful bomb rares to try to close things out. We have the Wandering Emperor herself, which should be nearly unbeatable, Soul Transfer that could potentially be an incredible 2-for-1 removal spell, and Junji the Midnight Sky as a massive, almost impossible to block flyer. It's got 5 power and toughness, it's got flying, it's got menace, and if it dies, it still does stuff. Incredible rare there. And then even at the top end of the curve, if the bomb rares don't do it, maybe looping a couple Imperial Oaths and setting up our final draws will. Really high power deck here with an explosive early game and powerful follow through with late game bombs. It's kind of got everything. Don't know how well the deck's going to do, but I imagine it looks pretty great. It's capable of excellent things, and very excited to see how close we can get to greatness with this deck as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1 with a little bit of a sketchy hand. We need a black source very badly, but if I hit that black source by turn 3 or turn 4, we're going to be really happy with the hand. 0 playable cards till we hit the swamp though. But again, if there's a swamp in my top 3 or 4 cards, then this hand is like almost unbeatable unless our opponent just aggroes us out before we hit the long reach of night. I feel like this deck is good enough. I don't need to go for a risky keep like this. I think we can definitely grind out a good game with a 6-card hand pretty easily. And we should be able to find a 6-card hand that's more consistent than this. I'm going to go for the mulligan here. It's so tempting, because these 4 spells are all incredible, but a lot of spells in our deck are. So let's take the mulligan. That's another incredible card. This is basically the same hand. We're just having some really awkward mana issues here. Luckily, we have Nezumi Prowler into the long reach of night, even off of mono black. So I'm going to ditch the 6-mana Imperial Oath, I think. I could ditch a swamp because I'm going to need to draw 2 planes no matter what to play the Wandering Emperor, but I think I'd rather keep the swamp to know that I can long reach of night if I draw just 1 land, try to slow my opponent down with that. But this is a really awkward start to this draft. This would be the only way I think this deck won't get to 7 wins is if we just draw like this. So really sad way to start it off. We have equal amounts of black and white, and we just drew a monocolored hand into a monocolored hand, which is not what we wanted to see in the slightest. We even have a dual land in here for fixing, so just a really rough mulligan to start it off. Yep, Spirited Companion's very disgusting against Nezumi Prowler. We draw the double white card, the only other double white card left in our entire deck. With our mono black hand. Alright, there's the first plains, and now we can drop the Long Reach of Night. Get our opponent to sack their Spirited Companion, and then probably discard a card after that. Not excellent, but it's better than nothing. Oh, they'd rather discard a forest than sack the 1/1? Alright, I'll take it. I guess because the 1/1 blocks the Prowler well. That's fair. Here's an Era of Enlightenment. They're going to scry 2. Both to the bottom. Digging for some better cards. Not hit the next white source. We hit a Mukatai Ambusher. Alright, and our opponent discards a Kami's Flare, so green, white, red. He's splashing in Kami's Flare for removal. Attacking with Prowler's pretty horrendous. I think I have to just hard cast Ambusher to keep doing things this turn. Could hold on to Ambusher so that if this manages to get in unblocked, we can put it back to hand. Yeah, I'm not really under pressure, and that's a 0/4, so I don't think they block it. Well, no, they'll have a 4/4 to block it, yeah. Unless I hit the white source for Banishing Slash, probably just better to have played the Ambusher. But if I hit the white source and I can kill this Goshintai, then try to ninjutsu the Long Reach of Night, could be an amount of value gained. Alright. Luckily, we're not under any pressure because our opponent is just refusing to attack us for now. So we'll just drop a Virus Beetle, get them to discard another card, give us all the time we need to try to hit that next white source. Pass the turn. They discard the mountain, so the splash color. Hand of Enlightenment is flipped. They're going to play a Thornwood Falls, gain a life. Ooh, they could be on the 5-color Kami War deck. Oh, there's the second white now. Goes pretty poorly if I attack with Animus and they double block with anything. But they might be scared of a trick and let me Ambusher here. No, I don't think I go for it. They're being very pacifist with the Goshintai, so we'll be pacifists with them as well. We've all made a deal, no attacks. Oh, well that probably explains it. Probably just trying to make it to the Tameo. And protect the Tameo here. It's definitely a game winner. I can blow up the Spirited Companion, then attack Tameo for 2 and ninjutsu. I think that's going to be the plan. This is bad if they have a +2/+2 trick. But pretty great otherwise. It'd be weird to see it here. I'm going to go for the block. Yeah, they're just going to buff the Goshintai. Alright, I don't love not killing the Goshintai of Boundless Vigor. I'm a pretty big fan of trying to kill Tameo. I guess what we could do is, if I attack Tameo with Animus of Night's Reach, they can't block it because of Menace. They could trade with Virus Beetle, which is fine. I will have the mana to Ambusher the Animus to hit Tameo for 3 and gain 3 life. And then still play a Banishing Slash or a Wandering Emperor to deal with the Goshintai. I think that's the plan. They are going to trade with the Virus Beetle. Let's ninjutsu the Animus. I could replay the Long Reach of Night and make them discard some cards again. But I think I would rather gain control of the board state right now and just guarantee that I can get this Tameo out of here quickly. Wandering Emperor only exiles tapped creatures, so if I try to do an instant speed Wandering Emperor, they have to attack me for that to work out. Maybe I do Long Reach of Night here. Because I could see myself just holding Wandering Emperor up and then they just don't attack, and they hold blockers to protect Tameo. So I think it's got to be Banishing Slash or Long Reach of Night. It's one of these two. And actually, oh, if it was Banishing Slash, I should have done it pre-combat on the Goshintai. because I don't have an enchantment out anymore. Yeah, I guess it's Long Reach of Night then. That was a little sloppy. I think I should have Banishing Slashed pre-combat. Completely forgot that I was bouncing the only enchantment on my board back to my hand to do that. Yeah, I'm at 19 life here. They're probably just going to hold off to protect Tamio. Ooh, Colossal Sky Turtle. Well, new slash target?
You cannot delay our victory.
Especially if they don't hold the creatures back. Ooh, Clawing Torment? Now they have to sack something, so there goes the Hand of Enlightenment. Got a Clawing Torment to shut off the ability to block. But I think we're just going to Banishing Slash the Sky Turtle and Wandering Emperor the Goshintai soon. It's going to take 4 mana? Yes, I'll have 2 mana up. Means I could Clawing Torment. There's no reason to. Yeah, and I don't take enough on the Crackback to die. Yeah, this is pretty simple. I could gain life off Wandering Emperor, but I'm not worried about it. Oh, you know what I could also do? I could Clawing Torment Sky Turtle and Wandering Emperor buff Ambusher, but I'm actually 1 mana off from that. I need 7. Yeah, no, we're good. Slash the Sky Turtle. Keep it simple. We're going to take 1 big Crackback, but then our board state is significantly better than theirs. And we take over the game from there.
Metal is stronger than flesh.
I'm not going to put Clawing Torment on Goshintai, because I'm going to kill it anyway soon. Or I can just put it on next turn if they don't attack with it and don't sack it to the Long Reach of Night. Alright, just a land. They played the land, which means they have to sack the Goshintai to the Long Reach of Night. So that was a little bit of a rough sequencing for them there. Oh wait, no, the Long Reach... I'm so stupid. I am the one who is loose. Alright, well, we get to kill Tamio, we get to gain 3, we get to kill Goshintai, and they're out of cards. Alright. That was not loose sequencing, I'm just a doofus.
For now.
And I forgot that it already made them sack 2 things. That actually makes me chump block, because it gives vigilance. That's rough. Wanted to go for the instant speed Wandering Emperor Exile, but that is the one card that would punish me because of vigilance, and now I can't do that anymore. That's actually horrific for me, because it gets vigilance again next turn, and I'm at 8 life? Oh dear. I think it was right to hold it up for instant speed, but that is the one card that makes that terrible. Take 4. I can have a lot of power on the board to block with. Probably be okay. Ninja's Kunai. So they're going to attack for 10 next turn. I guess 9. Play Junji Clawing Torment. Against their 9 power, we'll have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or that's not 10, 11, 12, that's one more. More than enough toughness. Especially if I add a semi. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Guards, to me.
More than enough toughness to survive, plus I'm gaining 3. Just block it with everybody. I got sketchy for a second. I got really sketchy for a second. But looks like we are going to get the fat W here in the end. They dead on board if I do that? No. Alright. They're just going to scoop them up there. I think I need to do the lose 2 life, get something from grave. So we got saved by some incredible mythics there in the end. There was definitely a few sloppy lines there that could have been done a little better to be a little safer. I don't think that going for the instant speed Wandering Emperor was sloppy, though. I think that just happened to pan out poorly for us. All right, that was still game one. That was the game we had to mulligan to 6 and keep a monocolored hand. So it is nice to be able to turn that one around, even if it was pretty back and forth, pretty sketchy, pretty scary for sure. But we will still get there in the end. We are going to start it off 1-0 as we head into game 2. All right, excellent hand for game 2. I don't really like just playing a Prowler out on turn 2, but when I have a hand like this, I will. Gotta draw into one of my enchantments, but I have like 9 of them in the deck, I think. And if I do draw into one, being able to play Kami into Naomi is going to be fantastic. We are playing against blue-green. Blue-green Patchwork Automaton. Alright, this will be interesting. I think I'll trade Prowler into that if they offer it. But blue-green tends to be more enchantment-focused than artifact-focused, but there are a lot of artifacts in the set. A lot of them in blue and colorless, so they could still try to get Automaton going. And green could also be a splash. They could be like blue-red splash green or something. We'll see what the terrarium gets them. That should reveal a lot of information here. Blue-green-black. Usually like Sultai, Graveyard Recursion, Animation, Graveyard Recursion and Reanimation, value kind of stuff. Pretty enchantment-focused, usually, but Automaton's popped off with Terrarium and Kunai. It's already a 3-3. At least Prowler can trade into it. The odds of this trading into that on blocks are kind of low, because they can just sack Terrarium to put a counter on it if they really want to attack with it, or just play any artifact if they have more. So I think I do attack with Prowler. It's kind of guaranteed to get 3 damage in, whereas on blocks, it might just be doing flat out nothing if they buff the Automaton. Play the Centipede now, so we have 2 artifacts on board, so as long as one of those is left, our Kami and our Naomi can pop off. We'll be trying to play a Twisted Embrace soon. Hopefully they just play another good creature so I can actually blow something up. Don't want to cast a Twisted Embrace into a ward cost that I can't afford. I would need to have 6 mana up to play Twisted Embrace and kill the Automaton. Alright, no blocks. Unless their ninjutsu card is incredible, I would be okay with them ninjutsuing here because they lose all their +1/+1 counters. But they do not have a ninjutsu, and they're going to pass turn. Alright, moderately awkward for me, because now I don't want a Twisted Embrace. I guess if they flash in a creature, I could still do Twisted Embrace post-combat, but we're probably on Virus Beetle here, again, trying to get max value off of these. Waiting for the Embrace to do some good stuff. Waiting for Twisted Embrace to put in work. We're currently just out racing them on board. So I don't feel a desperate need to play this as a 3-4. We can hold off on it to get the card draw. Tamio's Completion to shut off the Chainflail Centipede. Alright, fair enough. I think I still accept that Terrarium or any artifact makes the attack with Automaton good here. I guess I could double block with Virus Beetle Prowler, but I don't think that's where I want to be. Ooh, Virus Beetle got some actual value. Forces them to discard a Prosperous Thief here. They're going to send in the Patchwork Automaton, and I am not going to block. Go down to 14. Now a Futurist Sentinel. Yeah, this is the most artifact-heavy Sultai deck I think I've seen. This cannot blow up a vehicle. It only destroys creatures or planeswalkers. Like, still can't Twisted Embrace anything? I could play Naomi without getting the Enter the Battlefield effect. Then when I Twisted Embrace next turn, when Naomi attacks, we get a Samurai. That's probably where we're at. They could crew a Sentinel and hit me with that. Maybe I hold Virus Beetle for a chump, but still send in Prowler. That seems reasonable. we're kind of guaranteed to always have an artifact because they're not going to kill this chain flail centipede because it's already locked away. So I don't really need to worry about keeping virus beetle or prowler on board. We can just use them up aggressively and defensively. Mnemonic Sphere, another artifact to trigger the Patchwork Automaton, as well as some good card draw that'll draw them 2 cards once they hit another blue source, or just after they untap. Sack it later. Yeah, if I can get Naomi going here, then we'll just have a chump blocker for their 1 attacker every turn and can take over the game that way. I think we're in a pretty good position, despite the very large creatures my opponent has access to. They're going to go ahead and kunai here. Just equip the kunai so they have it at the ready. Well, for 1 black mana at instant speed, there's no 1 black mana instant, so they can't kunai Naomi in response to me embracing. So I'm going to go for it. There's Clawing Torment, but that's a sorcery speed aura, so Twisted Embrace should resolve here and kill the automaton. Then we can attack with everybody and get a samurai. And just be firmly in the lead. I guess I can't attack with everybody because they can crew the sentinel. But I can still kill the automaton, get it out of the way. They'll need to draw another creature to crew the sentinel. Yeah, I guess I don't get an attack in this turn. Because of the way vehicles work here. Yep. Pass. My fingers are pretty crossed that they don't kill Naomi here, because then the Kami is not going to trigger, since the Twisted Embrace is the only enchantment I've drawn. Aw, they do kill Naomi. Well, that's kind of a bummer, but they've got 0 creatures on board, so we can just jam in. And I guess I'm going to have to just play this as a 3-4. Try to beat them down. I didn't go for Twisted Embrace on Chain Flail Centipede because they could respond by kunaiing the Centipede, which, yeah, would get the kunai out of the way, but then I wouldn't have an enchantment on board for the 2 cards that really wanted those enchantments on board. Mukutaya Ambusher, does that make attacking with everybody worth it? They're going to kill the Prowler for free, but we'll hit them for 6. Oh yeah, that's worth it. Oh yeah, that's worth it. I guess they could kill the Kami for free because they can crew the thing. But I'll hit them for 6 and gain 6. Make a Ninja's Kunai top deck kill. Actually, no, they won't kill the Kami for free. Getting back into Kamigawa just reminds me of how many fancy, incredible things you can do. I can Ambusher the Prowler so that I can Prowler the Virus Beetle so that I can give the Kami of Terrible Secrets Death Touch and kill the Futurist Sentinel and then still replay the Virus Beetle. Ninjutsu is a horrendously powerful mechanic. That is so sweet. And now they're playing off the top against 3 creatures at 1 life. See if they can draw a way out of it. They do have a sphere to draw to. They just drop a land. Equip the kunai. That gives them 2 blocks. They need to find 3. Oh. Now I can just Clawing Torment and pass the turn. Their own creature will kill them. Or I could just attack with everybody and they can only shoot 1. They need 2 more removal spells to survive, and then even if they had the 2 more removal spells, once they untap, they lose the extra life from Clawing Torment. So yeah, that was disgusting stuff there from the ninjutsu synergies that game. Being able to pick up the Nezumi Prowler that was already on the board to still get the ninjutsu trigger out of it later was incredible. That definitely makes up for having to drop it out turn 2. Because normally I'm like, but then I don't get the ninjutsu trigger. Well, if I draw another ninjutsu card, I can bounce it back to my hand and then ninjutsu it on another attacker. That was Pretty nasty stuff there. We are 2-0 heading into game 3. Alright, here we are in game 3. We can Era of Enlightenment to try to scry into a second white. Win the game off a Wandering Emperor. Super powerful hand. The Virus Beetle and Era are just great cards even without the Wandering Emperor. The Clawing Torment's awkward here because his hand's not really aggressive. But everything else in the hand is phenomenal. Ooh. So I can Virus Beetle, then they can't attack in. And then next turn I can play Era plus Clawing Torment, set up my draws, and kill the Sling. Seems pretty fine. I like playing the Beetle immediately, stop all of their attacks here. This game if we can. Debt to the Kami is the discard from our opponent. Alright, well, show me the trick. No trick. We'll trade the Beetle off. Pretty happy with that. I guess I don't get to Clawing Torment now, but that's okay. Era of Enlightenment. Digging for a Plains. That is not a Plains. That's not a Plains, but it is a Junji the Midnight Sky. I kind of feel like I have to put this on bottom, because if I don't draw a land after this, I'm not doing anything. Right, I have a Clawing Torment on the defensive, which is horrible. I have an Ambusher I can't cast unless I have 4 mana. A Wandering Emperor and a Slash I can't cast unless I have double white. I actually just think I can't keep this. Because then my entire hand is stranded unless I get lucky on the draw after the Junji. I think I gotta dig closer to those lands. That's a sad day for the Dragon Spirit. But we gotta dump that on the bottom here. Find ways for the rest of our hand to be castable. Well, not really under any pressure. We'll just sit here not drawing lands for a little bit. But this is about as poor sequencing as we could have with these draws. So we have 2 double white cards with no double white. We have a Kunai with no creature. We have a Clawing Torment with no aggressive creatures. And we have an Ambusher with no creatures to ninjutsu. We find the 3rd black before the 2nd white now. Kind of have to just cast our Ambusher here. Explosive entry main deck, pretty great here. With Wandering Emperor and Banishing Slash as our next cards, I need to buy time by all means necessary. Because even if I fall really behind in card advantage by playing something really bad like Clawing Torment on Ambusher, as long as I can make it, we've got good stuff to do. That's actually fine with me. It would have been worse for me if they just hardcast that. They stopped taking damage now, but they were already gaining 3 life a turn anyway. And this way they only hit me with 1 3/2 this turn instead of 2 3/2s. I think they should have just hardcast that. Ooh! Oh my god, save me from this despair, Imperial Oath. Be absolutely busted. Please, thank you. I'm actually going to tuck a Naomi under this oath and use this oath to find the enchantment for Naomi. Because if I can just spit out 5 million 2/2s, we might still be in it. We had some horrendously bad draws for a while, but this is how good Imperial Oath is. It's going to give me 3 creatures that can all trade into their 4 mana creatures. Double Clawing Torment? Wow, that's disgusting. Okay, I guess we still lose then. Double Torment Voltage Surge? Yeah, I'm straight up dead. Take 2 damage. I'm gonna be at 1 life to these Clawing Torments. You know what I think we do? I'm so dead to these torments. But I think I shoot an ambusher and I gain life off the next one, and I'm just gonna hardcast this right now.
I've learned much during my travels.
Gain 2. Go back down to 3, but I can plus and then keep minusing. Gain another 2 next turn. Search for more life gain with this Imperial Oath. Or Ninjutsu. Ninjutsu works as well. Gotta dig with the Imperial Oath. We gotta find it fast. Life of Tsurumazawa does it. 2 turns of life gain there. No artifact on the board, but I don't have time to get a Chainflail Centipede over life gain. Oh, I hate this game.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Oh my god. Alright, well there goes that potential life gain. I would have needed to have a tapped creature on board to gain the life anyway. Now I'm gonna have to just slash a Clawing Torment. With no artifact on board. And still gained a 2. They're out of cards now. I have 3 turns to kill them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This does not kill them in 3 attacks. Actually, Naomi barely would if they miss on 3 draws in a row. Oh my god. Oh my god, please. Give me anything. Ninjutsu or life gain. Actually, this is exact lethal if they miss just 1 draw this game. They didn't miss. Come on, removal, life gain, and literally it. Well, I guess I technically could have drawn worse this game. But 2 lands in a row in the end when my opponent hits all gas. And really horrible draws at the start of the game. Those 2 things combined would have had to happen for me to lose that game. We had just a tiny bit more early game aggro, we kill them, or if I could just hit 1 less land when they're drawn just straight gas. That was brutal. I think we win that matchup 9 out of 10 games, but we found the 1 out of 10. Sometimes you win hard, sometimes you lose hard. Magic the Gathering can do that to you. 2-1 as we head into game 4. Snap keep here. Artifact into enchantment into soul transfer later in the game. We're probably just playing Centipede turn 3, but later on when something's in our graveyard, soul transfer is going to be nuts here. Alright, Life of Toshiro Umezawa, and we are going to beat them down. I'm taking last game personally, and I'm going to go 7-1 right now. There will be no mercy. No mercy for anyone. I'm going to play the Centipede here. If they kill the Apprentice, we trade and get the Archer out of the way, and then get a counter on Centipede. So we trade our 1-1 up into a 3-3 and buff our Centipede. And if they don't trade, we're going to Clawing Torment the Bamboo Grove Archer soon anyway. I just didn't want to do it this turn when I could also just play another creature. And we played the Centipede pre-combat to move the +1/+1 counter over. Last game has awoken something in me, and we are now on full serious mode, Gauntlet. Full competitive. No humor. No tricks. No commentary. I'm just going to light speed. Pummel some players right now. Alright, so we can Torment the Archer and we can Ambusher the Apprentice back to hand to hit even harder. They could have Tamio's Safekeeping here. And then I don't get to attack this turn, but I still have Soul Transfer for later, so that's fine. Master's Rebuke. Okay, that's also fine. That's not as bad as Tamio's Safekeeping would have been. Okay, when I said no commentary, that was a lie. I'm just going into full competitive mode commentary. Ton of commentary all day long. They're stuck on 2 lands? Good. Draw less. Aw. Get mana screwed. Please, thank you. Nameless opponent. Alright. I'll get that out of here and bring my creature back to hand. Hit them for 5, put them to 4 with the Clawing Torment. They're looking incredibly dead here. That's pretty smart. Bounce the Archer to get rid of the card that's going to keep damaging them and replay it for a blocker. White source would have been them just dead right now. They don't block Ambusher, they're at 1. They probably block Memory. Block Memory, take 3, go to 1. I guess I just attack with Ambusher, I clear out the Archer. And then we play Centipede, which can kill them in 1 hit, and we can still have Banishing Slash as an immediate out. Or insta-lethal, if they play an enchantment creature to block with, which is quite likely in green-white. Ooh, just play a removal spell, Banishing Slash still kills them, but as we've seen in many of my other games, I am incapable of drawing a second Plains. I might actually swap a Swamp for a Plains at this point. We do have more black cards than white cards, and we have 1 mana black cards, but we haven't drawn any of our Okiba Reckoner Raids, our 1-drop black creature. And we have consistently drawn our double white spells. But I suppose if I edit my deck and I cut a Swamp for a Plains, I'm going to draw my double black cards and exclusively Plains. Just how it's going to be. Alright. That game was pretty quick, pretty easy. They were mana screwed a bit. They were stuck on 3 mana for a majority of the game, and their deck was definitely a later game deck than ours. They needed to hit a lot more mana than we did, since we had a decent aggressive start. I will take another look at the mana base here, but I am fairly certain we're supposed to be even split of black and white. Yeah, we have less white cards, but we have double white cards. We have 15 black cards, only 7 white cards, but 2 of those white cards need double white. So I like the 8-8 split, and it's technically a 9-9 split. We have 9 sources of each color. Yeah, this mana base is reasonable. I'm not changing that. With 2 Okiba Reckoner Raids for 1 black mana, Clawing Torment for 1 black mana, I think in general, in most games, it will be worse to have 2 Plains and a Swamp than it is to have 2 Swamps and a Plains, because 2 Swamps and a Plains means we can play our 2-drop black cards and a Clawing Torment in the same turn. You know, like Virus Beetle Clawing Torment or Virus Beetle Okiba Reckoner Raid. It's just important in a lot of these games to be able to play 2 spells in 1 turn, and when most of our spells are black, I'm going to go for the even split instead of emphasizing white mana just for the double white cards. Fang is not annoying enough to Clawing Torment when I'm just going to play a 1-1 to attack into it. I think it'd be a decent trade. I'd rather put Clawing Torment on something that's going to sit there and do nothing, like Satsuki the Living Lore. Yeah, that card was made to sit there and do nothing. When it dies, they get a Saga back. Alright, if they play some Sagas, she can speed them up, but I don't think I'm going to use a removal spell on her. To stop them from speeding up Sagas. But yeah, this was a prime example of wanting double black early as well. So we could Clawing Torment and Reckoner Raid. Of course, they have ninjutsu in green-white. That is such a rarity. There's one green uncommon with ninjutsu and one white one. And the green one is sadly a mythic uncommon in the format because it gets to exile an enchantment when it hits us, so we got completely blown out there. They killed our Clawing Torment and our Okiba Reckoner Raid without even spending a card. They killed them both while just playing a 1/3. So that was explosively good for our opponent. Searchlight Companion is the play. Pretty good. Probably gonna go Beetle and Era first before I Wandering Emperor. Just don't have anything good to do with Wandering Emperor, and I want to have a lot of blockers first. Oh, Naomi's great. Naomi's phenomenal. I need another land, though. I think I'm still going to keep Naomi. I think I play Wandering Emperor next turn and keep Naomi on top. So I play a Wandering Emperor and have a Naomi in hand. And have a Banishing Slash. I gotta get rid of Companion and just try to draw land naturally. Feel like that is the line. Discard a Plains past the turn. Bosager reaches skyward. Phenomenal Saga, but I'm just going to blow it up with Banishing Slash. No more Wandering Emperor. Now Banishing Slash is my best friend. Satsuki can bring it back from grave when Satsuki dies, so we can just make sure not to kill her. We can block a 1/3 with a 2/2 all day long. Could move Centipede over, but I don't really want to be attacking here. Just want to keep all my creatures around to have a wide board state once I play a Wandering Emperor. Go Shintai of Shared Purpose. That is another enchantment we need to kill very badly, or it's going to make an incredibly wide board state that can kill the Wandering Emperor. Alright, we did not find the 5th land for Naomi. Feel like we're on Wandering Emperor as the play. If they want to kill Wandering Emperor, they're still going to have to attack her with a million creatures. So yeah, we'll go for Wandering Emperor in their end step. I could let them double block the Samurai, or if they block the Samurai with the Goshintai, we can kill it with Clawing Torment post-combat. But they can double block Samurai with a 1/3 and a 1/1, that would be bad for me. Yeah, that's true. There's no way they're blocking with this 1/3 when they can block with this one. We're not going to get a Clawing Torment kill off of attacking with the 2/2. So let's just not even go for it when it could play out very badly for me. If I exile the flyer with the Wandering Emperor, they have nothing to potentially chip at her with. Because I can try to keep the board state wide on the ground, but I have nothing to play flyers. So I might be exiling the Searchlight Companion. We gotta do it during the Declare Attackers before the Blockers step, because in the Blockers step they can ninjutsu it. But then all I get is a +1/+1 counter next turn. Would it be better to just make 2 Samurai, make 1 Samurai now, 1 Samurai next turn? Clawing Torment the Companion? That's probably better. If I hit a land, I'm going to be sad about that, having to play Torment instead of Naomi, but it is what it is. Make a 1/1 with Goshintai. Let's make a 2/2. We do not hit a land, so that's perfect. We Torment the Companion. 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures against 6. Yep, they gotta play a removal spell to kill the Wandering Emperor.
May your blade strike true.
Well, that's literally perfect. The Flying Saga to kill the Wandering Emperor. They have another ninjutsu card now to put the tech wrecker back in hand so they can exile something again. Of course they do. There is the one ninjutsu common in green, but that card is not great, so it doesn't see a lot of play. So I generally don't play around that one. Could keep putting the centipede on samurai here. Be okay, but I like the wide attack. Clear out a bunch of the board. This is moderately a frustration attack, but also there's no reason to hold up blockers anymore because they already aren't going to be able to attack in all the samurai. So I might as well start chipping in for some actual damage here. They're down to 12. It's going to make it so if I do actually get a 5th mana and play Junji, we can potentially kill them in just like 2 swings instead of 4. And we've already narrowed it down to 3 swings to death with Junji instead of 4 swings. Yeah, Kappa Tech Wrecker, Coiling Stalker with a flying ability is going to like 5 for 1 us over the course of this game. This Kappa Tech Wrecker, showing off how it is green's mythic rare uncommon. There's the Junji land. Fastest way to try to kill them. It's got flying and menace, so they can't block it with just a 2/4. You just try to get 3 attacks in with it. That is the game plan. Harmonious Emergence, they're going to try to outrace me now. Naomi and Imperial Oath will be incredibly helpful at making that not work. Making it just, they need to have removal or bust. They have 1 white and 1 green mana up. Oh, they don't even attack, okay. I was gonna try to think about what possible things they could have. That would be bad tricks for me. I guess we don't have an enchantment out anymore because they've Kappa Tech wrecked my face. So we actually don't Naomi into any extra creatures. So is it better to just play a 3/4? Yeah, 4/4 is not significantly better at blocking here. And Naomi's got a significantly better ability if I do draw into an enchantment. So I'll play Kami of Terrible Secrets. Send an Imperial Oath that lets them ninjutsu the Coiling Stalker so that they can recast that for the flying ability to hit me with the Wrecker, but that's not going to let them block Junji or kill Junji. It'll just let them exile my Virus Beetle. So we'll be fine. Wow. Never mind. I guess I can make them discard their whole hand. Yeah, there's no creature in a grave worth getting back. There's a Centipede. And a Fang of Shigeki. Yeah, no, just make them lose their hand here. They're down to 5. But now I gotta find another way to get through 5 million spirits. If I can hit 1 more land, Imperial Oath can dig very far and wide for some solutions to this board state. Tales of Master Sashiro is the play. They are expanding the board state greatly. They're going to get 2 counters and get 2 vigilance attacks in, and then they're going to get a 5/5 vigilant haste. Couple turns from now. Counter on the Goshintai of Shared Purpose. Interesting, I guess just get it out of like Ninja's Kunai range? I'm gonna take a very long break after this game. I'm gonna need to cool down a bit to get back into even-headed commentary mode. All I have to do now is find a way to hit them for 2. If I can draw a clawing... Oh, I already used both. Well, what are my outs now then? Life of Tashiro Mizawa? That doesn't shoot them. Got Okiba Reckoner Raid, that's a big one. Yeah, of course. They've already Kappa-Tech wrecked all my enchantments, so Soul Transfer doesn't really do much. Oh, I guess it doesn't exile anything, but I can still get the flyer back. That actually... No, that does a lot. That'll kill them in 1 hit. But I don't get to play it till 3 turns from now. Okay. Could also pick up the Wandering Emperor, but Junji's definitely better because it actually kills them. Yeah, I do have an Okiba Reckoner Raid in my deck, which will make them lose 2 life, so that is another out. I could just kunai their face and then play an Okiba Reckoner Raid. No attacks? They're still not trying to pressure me. I do have some chunky blockers. But maybe they just know something I don't. They know they have a removal spell coming up for Junji. And they'll be fine. Sixth land for Oath is interesting, but it's definitely better to play Junji. Putting them dead on board, unless they can exile Junji. Alright. Junji dies, I just shoot them for 5 right now. If their final card in hand is life gain, that's going to be bad for me. So I'm going to make it so they can't kill Junji unless the final card in their hand is a trick. In which case they don't have life gain, which means they kill Junji, I shoot them for 2, then I shoot them for 3 with Beetle. So let's go block there. Block all the damage I can. Get some life gain going on. Six, 7 damage. Sure, and I gain a bunch. Oh, sweet Lord Jesus, thank you. Oh! Oh! Thank you for watching rounds 1 to 5 of this Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Quick Draft. We will return shortly for round 6, as soon as Gauntlet collects the shattered remnants of his fragmented mind. Alright, here we are now for round 6. This feels unkeepable. We're on mono white here with just 2 lands. We've got 2 4-mana plays, 2 6-mana plays, and a 1-drop that doesn't work without creatures. I feel like I got a mulligan this one. It is high power, but super high risk. Now we've got both of our colors. Still don't have double white for the Emperor, but we have the Era of Enlightenment to scry into that mana. We have Reckoner Raid into Era, into Emperor if I hit the second white, so I think I ditched the Soul Transfer. Hoping that the Era scries into another white source. I could get a little greedy here and try to have the Era scry into 2 lands, period, where I keep the Soul Transfer, but I think I go Raid, Enlightenment, Emperor. Let's drop the Soul Transfer. And here's a turn 1 Okiba Reckoner Raid to get things going. Gonna start draining our opponent for life. Potentially get our 2/2 Menace on the board. There's a Fang of Shigeki. Reckoner Raid, pretty decent against that, because it is going to be able to sneak right past it with Menace. Let's go ahead and scry 2, looking for planes. These are not planes. These are good cards, though. I might keep the Kami. I don't think I can keep Naomi, because it's a 5-drop with only 3 mana, but it's not really one Not really when we wanted to see those 4 or 5 mana cards. I should have the cards out for the Kami guaranteed, but Naomi maybe not. I take the Kami here. It's a little greedy. But if I like dump the Kami on bottom, then we just hit a pocket of lands, we don't really have any more action, and Kami helps with that a lot. As soon as we hit any 4th land, Kami's going to put a 3/4 on the board and get us another card to play some more stuff. So I'm going to cross my fingers a bit on that one. Alright, use our mana to go ahead and slap a Ninja's Kunai on the board. Why not? I think our opponent's stuck on triple green here. They did get another mana from the cultivation, but they are on mono-colored. Still. And they're going to exile the Road Captain with the Fade into Antiquity. Sorcery that lets them exile an artifact or enchantment. That could be the play. Oh, Circuit Mender is the play. That's a pretty great one. 2/3 that gains them 2 life when it hits the board and draws them a card when it leaves the board for any reason. Alright, really lucky here. We did hit the 4th land. It was a swamp, so it would have been... We would have had a pretty bad time here if we didn't have a Kami to play, because then we just play nothing this turn, so kind of happy with keeping the Kami. Although I guess if I scryed it to the bottom, we would have drawn the Plains, so we could have played the Wandering Emperor. But then I'd have a Swamp Stranded in hand doing nothing. I don't think we attack here because they block with Circuit Mender and a 1/1, or Circuit Mender and a Fang even is a 1-for-1 trade. We can't kill the 2/3 on that block. We might use Wandering Emperor in combat here to give first strike to an attacker, since they don't have that much to attack us with, and they found their 2nd color now. Uncharted Haven gives them the blue. Another Plains. It's okay if we hit some Imperial Oaths. I don't think we scryed any to the bottom. No, so there are 2 Oaths in the deck. We do have 6 drops to draw into. So the 6th mana is not entirely redundant. 3 potential attackers to try to hit the Emperor with. I kind of want to move the Kunai to the hand. And then attack with the Captain. I can blow up blocks with First Strike or Kunai, depending on which ends up being better. They can probably find a good block, though. Like, just block with Circuit Mender, Bamboo Grove Archer, then what do? Oh, I First Strike, kill the Archer? Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Okay, yeah, we're fine. We can find a good attack for Road Captain. Pretty much guaranteed. Alright. Yeah, this should be good if they don't have a trick.
Anyone who harms my people must contest. Strike fast.
Alright,
strike
looks
hard.
pretty excellent. I only have 2 blockers up, but the Wandering Emperor's at 4 loyalty, and their biggest creature has 2 power, so on board, the Wandering Emperor is going to be fine here. Blossom Prancer, phenomenal card. I almost took that over a Mythic Rare in our pack 1. Oh my god, yeah, and if you can loop them, they are completely disgusting. Blossom Prancer into Blossom Prancer. Seems good. Banishing Slash is not a bad draw at all. That's going to give us a Samurai and blow up an artifact or an enchantment. Or a tapped creature, but don't think they're going to have a lot of those. Because we can block a Prancer with a 2/2 first strike and then deal 3 to it, so like they're going to be hitting us here. I don't really want to slash anything. I think we're just sitting here.
Guards, to me.
I'm just going to sit here and make a bunch of creatures. Get as much value as I can off the Wandering Emperor, and weirdly enough, it feels like they're going to get more value off the Prancers than we might off of the Emperor. I don't know why I didn't play a land there. I wasn't going to slash, but I should have at least played a land. Brain farts. Oh, let's go. Let's get faded, brother. Alright. Mizumi Road Captain's in exile. It's actually pretty fine for me. I think my Hand of Enlightenment's just straight up better. Let's see what kind of combat trick they're going to try to do. Okay. They have another 4/4 to play, so not out of stuff. I guess they didn't have the mana to play it that turn. Ooh, Clawing Torment. It's pretty cool. This is a really good mana sink. I think that's worth slashing. Although now I don't have the artifact anymore because I went for the kill on the Prancer. Does make the slash worse, but I think it's still worth killing Bearer of Memory with it. Or you could make a First Striking Samurai. That's not bad. If they spend every turn spending 6 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, that's probably good for us. A Treeper? A Trampler? You know what? I'm just getting aggro. I don't even care. Blow it all up. Explode it all.
May your blades
Boom.
true.
Now we are turning the corner into a very aggressive position. That makes sense.
Always glad to meet my match.
I don't know why I did not see that line. I could just start attacking the Wandering Emperor with the Mender. How do they have 3 Prancers? Oh my god. That's actually absurd. Alright, well if I just make one of the Samurai a 3/3, then they only get to kill 1 off of a double block. You just plus the Wandering Emperor for the rest of time and keep draining them for 1 life. Blossom Prancer is one of those cards that gets the more absurd the more copies you have in it. It's basically impossible to have 3 copies in a Premier draft, but quick drafts are just something else. Every time I quick draft, I end up with an incredibly explosive, ridiculous deck, and then I run into like triple Blossom Prancer. I'm like, oh my god, everyone just has complete stone cold nuts.
I'm not impressed.
They have a 4th Blossom Prancer. I'm going to uninstall Magic Arena. Okay, Geothermal Kami. That would be basically, imagine me having the deck that I have now, except I have 4 Life of Toshiro Umezawa, or something like that. 4 Long Reach of Night. Or no, 3 Long Reach of Night or 3 Life of Toshiro Umezawa. I needed a creature there. For the Wandering Emperor to not die. Well, she's gonna die anyway.
I'm never done for good. Guards, to me.
Pass turn. Feels pretty aggressive. We've got a great counterattack depending on what they drew. Actually not in love with the Ambusher here, but it does let me scry too, so I think it's worth. Cool. That'd have been really bad if they blocked the hand. Ruined my day. Alright, let's see what we're scrying into off of the Era of Enlightenment. Okay. Get out of my life. This is why we scry. Opponent is down to 7 now. They really have to strongly consider any attacks they're going to make here. Well, not Circuit Mender, that one's free, but the other 2 creatures. Hit a Fade into Antiquity to exile our Lifelinker. They are going to keep the Prancer back. Okay, so we take 5. Find an Iron Apprentice. A little late for a 1-drop, but definitely better than nothing. Pretty solid chump blocker too. Being able to buff the rest of my board a little. Well, one of my other creatures on board gets buffed. The Modern Age is phenomenal in a position like this. Lets them draw and discard twice in a row to dig for better cards. Then it turns into a 2/3 flyer, which is really big in a race like this. I think I take it all, hope they didn't hit a creature off the Modern Age. Another land for us. And now we attack with everybody and attack with everybody again next turn, and they're dead if they don't have a spell in hand. Because they go to 3, then they drop down to 2, then we get 1 creature and they're dead. So they can't attack back at us. Because they go block, block, take 1, die. They have to play another creature and not attack to live. They do play another creature. Alright, they can't attack us, which means they're dead in 2 turns for the Circuit Mender. They have decided to attack us, so they have sealed their fate. You have sealed your fate. I'm not even gonna Nizumi Prowler. I'm just gonna let Clawing Torment do its thing. I'm gonna send a message. Clawing Torment, go brrr, and we are now 5-1 as we head into game number 7. Alright, here we are in game 7. Oh my god, this is like the most explosive hand. Regenerate into Life of Toshiro Umezawa. Actually, this is more explosive if I just play Iron Apprentice first, because then I can do extra damage if they don't play anything I want to kill. I don't really want the 4 life gain. If I could deal damage instead. Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, that is a war crime. Get to kill the Generous Visitor here. Pretty good target for the Life of Toshiro Umezawa. Now in Zeus's Many Journeys, so we'll just hit for 3 and play double Okiba Reckoner Raid. On top deck the... Oh my god. Oh my god. Top deck the Plains for the Wandering Emperor. This is absolutely illegal. This is going to be a villainous game of Magic. Our opponent's still in it because they do get life gain off of the Many Journeys. And their deck seems great. The card quality is really high so far, Visitor into Journeys. They did get the extra land from Many Journeys, so they are definitely ahead on mana. Though Shintai have Shared Purpose, they cannot make any 1/1s this turn. Still, be good in the future. I think I attack and make this a 3/4 because that can attack into the Ghost Shintai well. I guess it just gets blocked by a 1/1, but it's also good against a 3/3. I like turning this into a 3/4. Well, they're just not going to block. Fair enough. Play around the -2/-2 trick, I guess. Also cool with that. You're just getting a little bit of damage in. So Seiju reaches Skyward. That's going to be really strong, but also pretty slow. So we're going to stay aggressive. We're about to make 2 Menace creatures next turn. And a Samurai from the Wandering Emperor. Unless they attack us, then I'll just eat their Ghost Shintai instead. They do not attack. So we'll get a 2/2.
I hope you're ready to lose.
Now we'll get 2 2/2s with Menace. And drawn to Twisted Embrace. I put Twisted Embrace on Memory of Toshiro, they have to double block to kill it, which gets my other creatures in. My other creatures can't get in right now anyway. I think I'd rather put this on the Samurai. Because I can hold it up as a blocker, and since I won't be putting Memory of Toshiro in danger now, I can... oh wait, I can just give it first strike. Oh my god. That's nasty. Anyways, if I don't put that in danger, then if I hit any of my ninjutsu later, I can bounce it to hand, instead of just having it end up in grave by attacking with it and then double blocking. If I made it a 3/4 off Embrace. The Wandering Emperor is pretty ridiculous. We've got a lot of great cards as well. If they have like a Farewell or something, they can still definitely win. Okay, they arrest the Emperor. We still have a very large lead on the board, and if I hit one more land now, we can Oath. Oh, I can Oath off of the Memory. Is that better than attacking with a 3/4? Pretty likely it is. Oh, don't tap the Memory. Oh my god. Today is the day of getting hosed by the most specific cards that could hose me. I guess I'm not casting Imperial Oath this turn then. The Tapper in white-green. And then earlier, the one Vigilance card in green-white against the Wandering Emperor. Luckily, I didn't need to scry, because I can tell you what I would have kept on top. That's a Clawing Torment. That is going to really help us out race. They're going to have 2 blockers total, which means they're going to take at least 4 damage. Just let the Menace all in. And they go down to 3. And their upkeep, they go down to 2. Yeah, they die very quickly. I guess they can still crew, can't they? Yeah, they have 3 blockers, actually. Might be. We're still definitely attacking with everybody. Because it's 2 1/1s and a 2/2. What is this last card in hand? Wanderer's Intervention, okay. That's pretty fair. Double block the captain. I think I kill the hover bike, because the branch can just crew the hover bike anyway. I guess they can't crew the hover bike if they attack with the branch, so that keeps them from hitting me. This is both reasonable. I'll kill the spirit. Either way, they're down to 4, then they go down to 3. Alright, they're going to pass through their turn, hold all these blockers up. Tap down the captain. They can crew the hover bike with the branch. So we'll just pass. Play the ambusher though. Alright, and there is the concession. Clawing Torment is going to take another victory, and we will be 6-1 as we head into the final boss. We do have 2 rounds in the chamber here, so if we lose this game, we've got another shot at a 7-win run. But this will be our first attempt at the final boss. Alright, well this looks like a great way to start. I don't get to play the Reckoner Raid turn 1, but the Scoured Barrens is huge here. I do need to hit 1 swamp to get to Junji, but the mana's great. Start things off on turn 2 with some great spells. I'm going to keep it here. If this were like Barrens, a Swamp, and a Plains, the hand would be 100% perfect, because being able to also just cast 2 spells in one turn is pretty important, and we just can't do that because every single spell we have is black, and we only have 1 black source, so despite having both colors, the mana is a bit awkward. That is the biggest flaw with the hand. Well, it's going to be kind of a bad start for us, because our opponent's on the play and starts with a Zeus's Many Journeys, which means they will be miles ahead of us in terms of mana. Probably try to grind out a long game rather than getting aggro, save Life of Toshio and the long reach of Night to until a point where we can try to trade them into extra cards from our opponent. So wait and see if they end up playing like the 3 mana 1/1 flyer, or like a Virus Beetle, anything like that to kill with the life. I think since I have nothing else to play, I will play the Prowler on the empty board. Don't love it, but it can trade 1 for 1 into their 3/3, so it's not horrible here. We did hit the second black source, so we know we have Junji on turn 5. Well, if we hit 1 more land, we'll have Junji on turn 5. Acquisition Octopus and a Network Disruptor. Well, can Life of Toshiro Umezawa with a Network Disruptor? Yeah, and set up a million blockers. I think I like that better than tapping out for Long Reach of Night, because they can definitely get a ninjutsu off if I leave the Disruptor on board. So let's go Apprentice, Life of Toshiro Umezawa, blow up the Network Disruptor, since we found an opportunity to kill 1 card with that. Well, show me the weird / wacky combat tricks, because these 1 for 1 trades are very okay with me. Jukai Preserver. Well, talk about a perfect combat trick. Guess I should have sent the Iron Apprentice in there somewhere. Still don't feel too bad about our position this game. Although the likeness untaps the lands, yeah, okay, it's actually pretty bad. But all they do with their extra mana is just play 1 3/3. Yeah, we're fine. We are fine. Let's get an Iron Apprentice attack in here, I think. They're going to need an out to this dragon, or it's going to kill them in 4 attacks. They kill us slightly faster on board, but we have follow-up plays. I think I should still block this Octopus, because they draw a card if I let it in. And even if they combat trick to kill Junji, I still make them discard 2, which is still excellent value. Even if we don't have a win condition anymore, then we just try to grind the game out with Long Reach of Night and a double discard here. It's like for now, we just get a kill on the Octopus. Alright. We have killed the Octopus. Probably want to save all my mana up first when I attack with Junji. And if they have poor timing, we can ninjutsu and save Junji. If they have an instant they're trying to use, but looks like nothing, so then we'll play Long Reach of Night. One of the things that's really important to keep in mind in this format is if you have instant speed removal and you want to use it on an attacking creature, make sure to do it during the Declare Attacker step and not the Declare Blocker step, because if you wait until the Declare Blocker step and you didn't block it, it's technically an unblocked creature, so your opponent can respond to you casting a spell that says destroy target creature to just picking up that creature with a ninjutsu card. So just destroy things during the Declare Attacks step. It's going to take 3 hits even if I get another counter, so I'll take the 4. Or the ninjutsu. Alright, lifelink. That's kind of bad for me. Drop the Era and Scry. I might hardcast this Ambusher. Yeah. I have no guarantee that I'm hitting any gas, so let's just get more creatures on board for more trades and blocks. Gonna take 3 hits to kill them. It'll take 4 hits to kill them if they use Preserver to buff the Ambusher. They can only put 1 counter on it. So they can't make it win this unless they have another trick. Alright, so the trade occurs. If I just blocked with memory, they could make it just win the fight though with the Preserver's ability, so that would have been a bad block. Is it Twisted Embrace? I think I keep that in case they get another reach blocker, because until they have 2 ways to block a flyer, they can't block Junji. Which means we're just closing this game out, slowly but surely. I'll take that trade, that seems okay. It is my only artifact, but seems fine. Better than letting them get a ninjutsu, and I think it's my best blocker period there. Behold the Unspeakable. If I want to threaten lethal in 2 attacks, do I have to buff this? No, because it only has -2/-0 this turn. So I hit for 4 this turn, then 6 next turn. Yeah, so we still hold the Twisted Embrace. Cameo completed Sage. This does destroy a Planeswalker, but that does still lock down Junji for a turn. Junji's already lethal in 1 attack, so I don't think I need to buff that. I'll buff the Animus. That'll make it attack as a... Oh, I could just kill them if I buff the Animus. Oh, yeah, alright. Yeah, because of Menace. So we put it on the Animus, we kill one of their blockers, then we just attack them instead of killing Tamio. Because that makes it a menace creature that has 5 power on attacks, but we kill another creature that makes it 6 power on attacks because it gets +X, where X is the number of creatures in their grave. That's currently 4. It'd be 5 after the archer's dead, so 1 + 5 is 6, and they can't block it. So that's the play there, and we have done it. We've gotten a 7-win run with this deck. We did get 1 loss under our belt, unfortunately, but it was a game with some pretty awkward draws, so it is what it is. 7-1 is still an exceptional record. Honestly, I think this is one of the best decks I've ever drafted in this format, which is why earlier on when we were having some pretty poor draws, I was really not having a great time. The biggest flaw with this deck for sure is the quality of the artifacts that we have. Ideally, again, you want like the 2 or 3 Companion, 2 or 3 Virus Beetle. Iron Apprentice and Chainflail Centipede are fine, but more copies of Virus Beetle, Mukotai Ambusher, and other cards like that would be better. Having one of the high-speed hover bike would be great. That's better than these 2. Stuff like that. So these cards were kind of rough, kind of the worst cards in the deck, but everything else was pretty fantastic. There are some somewhat high variance cards, like the Clawing Torment are really good at some positions. They're not good when you're behind, but I think we had an aggressive enough curve to go for it with the Torments, but those did come back to bite us a little bit in some positions where we weren't that aggressive. But I think literally everything else was just kind of always good, as you would expect. And yeah, love the archetype, love the deck. Premium commons and uncommons here alongside multiple bomb, mythics, and rares. tremendously powerful deck, and it'll find us a 7-win run for today's quick draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Well, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting the channel. The draft format for today's video was voted for on the Patreon account. You can check out the link in the description below if you're interested in supporting the channel there. If you'd like to see some more videos like this, you could leave a like, comment, or subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more of these videos in your recommended feed. And if you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.